Good day. I would like to share some of the outcomes of the MIMS implementation workshop at the Smart City Expo World Congress at the Fira in Barcelona. This workshop was on the 17th November last week, gracefully hosted by Jordi Ortino Robé and Jordi Cicera Gonzalez of the Institute Municipal de Informática from the city of Barcelona. Barcelona being proudly one of the newest aspiring members of the OASC Spain chapter. So we were kindly invited by Michael Mulquin, our MIMS ambassador, to join this session. Like I stated before, participation of the Barcelona City Council, the Open Agile Smart Cities at the World City Expo World Congress. This talk I will shortly read who am I, where we're coming from, what's the reason behind all this to go from reference architecture and pilots to implementation, reference architecture plus minimal interoperability mechanisms plus data space will create something nice like local digital twins. So it will be here for sustained societal benefits. I will also touch upon the data spaces for smart sustainable cities and communities European project. Who am I? Not that relevant. Just a senior blonde guy, more than 20 years experience in all kinds of stuff related to technical automation in the harbor. More than 7 years now, the smart civil servant at the municipality of Eindhoven. You can reach me on these emails behind these logos. Disclaimer, this is all my personal view collated of all kinds of sources to my best knowledge, public domain. The sources are indicated, by no means approved by any of my chiefs. So where are we coming from? We come by open, and driven by implementation in open and agile smart cities. Joint demand of more than 150 cities, more than 30 countries worldwide. To represent the cities as demand. I'm coming from Eindhoven. What you typically see that on every corner of every street, at least in the city center, there's a sensor. So as a local authority, we had to set some rules to improve quality of life and to safeguard the public interest, and at the same time stimulate economic development and ecosystems. We would also like to frame our existing organic or chaotic approach to something more future-proof, and of course we still and always be willing to change. So in 2015 we created the open data principles, a set of 8 simple rules, local legislation. So if you want to place a sensor in the public domain, the data from this sensor has to be freely available for everybody as open data, as long as it's privacy proof. The 8 principles also nice. We are totally willing to discuss any business model related to this. A year later, we created the Smart Society IoT Charter, 7 simple rules, open, modular. Do it privacy proof, do it security proof, and do it for the people. 1 year later, our alderman, Staf de Pla, with the Vice Mayor of Amsterdam at that time, Mrs. Olgren, created these 4 principles for digital infrastructure of a smart city. They were graded up more on governance policy level to be the Dutch societal principles, the principles for digital society of the total country. A year later, so 4 years ago at the Smart Connected World Congress in Barcelona, this guy came along, the mad scientist, And I had the privilege to participate in SynchroniCity IoT large-scale pilot. Very nice, more than 30 participants, I think about 50 million euro. And we did all kinds of nice stuff, piloting something. We created a guidebook. We received a very nice review from the European Union policy officer. So the MIMs are there to stay, and the Open Agile Smart Cities is mentioning it. A year later, we came across the Joint Bus Sustain Declaration, so the Living in Europe thing. You can join this, of course, if you support or undersign the 6 principles. Of them are 2 technology principles, which are somewhat more detail given here. And blunt summary: don't reinvent the wheel, use existing successful digital solutions. One of them is the MIMs. So, all nice and great. That is where we're coming from. We're going to reference architecture and piloting and implementation, all kinds of stuff. So this is Synchronicity reference architecture. Of course, there's a lot of more of them. It's available as deliverable 2.10. Cooperation of all kinds of organizations provided here based upon the PPP fireware generic enablers. Some of all the ones stated the same, but then more in lingo for business lingo. On the bottom layer, you've got IT sensors verticals with their own dedicated formats and protocols. On top of that, you've got a kind of translation bureau and network connections, context information management. The layer on top of it is a kind of data storage platform where you have the raw IT sensor placed in context and translated in standard data, metadata models. On top of that, something magic happens. Artificial intelligence, business, customer data, whatever intelligence to translate raw data into value-added insights and information. On top of that, you've got a marketplace where trust is key. In this marketplace, you can get raw data, added value information, application services, whatever. There are all these TMF APIs are here for managed catalog orders, kickback revenues, etc. So on top of this all, the services and applications are created which deliver the real added value for all interested parties in the quadruple helix or ecosystem. This of course only works if it's secure, privacy, and it's governed. This also works only if the platform you're running on is monitored and managed. MIMs, the minimal interoperability mechanisms. 1. Context information management from sensor to data platform standardized. ETSI, NGC-LD. MIM2, standard data models governed by the smart city data models by the good people of the FIRA Foundation. MIM3, the marketplace APIs based on TMF, etc. So a couple of years ago, Olavi, our policy officer, said, well, we're going to scale up these solutions to 20 cities, and part of OWASP you can roll out globally. Some related reference architectures. This is the one from Sweden, the Revar. It's version 1.3 I'm using here. Now they're in the process of upgrading, and where the synchronicity reference architecture and others are plotted on the Swedish principles. What I really like about this is that they also use it in public procurement as kind of criteria to see if the suppliers catch the idea behind this reference architecture. I didn't plotted the MIMs, just my thing, not validated, not discussed. That's the meaning of this question mark. In the Netherlands, I participated in the NEN, that's the Dutch Standardization Development Organization. We created NPR, Dutch Practice Guideline for Open Urban Platforms. It's available on the internet. I don't have an electronic copy, so it's just pictures of the content. Inside this, there were also references to the then 3 MIMs. In the Netherlands, we have this policy on global level from the Forum Standardization and National Government, meaning you have to comply and explain. With this NPR, you can use it as an annex to your public procurement, your European tenders, and ask suppliers if they can reflect on what they read, how they're going to implement it, how they're going to support, how to keep it up and running. And of course, how they do an exit in the case you want to remove your data from their platform or components to another platform or another component. In the joint booster stain high-level architecture, this is part of the MIMs-plus document 5.0. The reference architecture is again given somewhat more abstract, more high level. In Valencia, they use these ideas but go another direction, included with all kinds of surrounding things. In Helsinki, another approach is given more with ingest based modern data continuous integration, continuous delivery. This is a picture I kindly reused from Forum View in Helsinki. This is my stuff, just a Mickey Mouse implementation of sound sensors, of traffic counters, NDG-LD, IoT agent, Orion context broker SIF, translated to standard data models like sound levels observed, and traffic observed. We use open source Elasticsearch Kibana to provide a simple dashboard. That's it. If you see it differently, this is the picture from the LI.EU MIMs-plus document with some other colors derived from the reference architecture. MIMs are plotted here. So in Eindhoven, we got this IT sense, we got an agent, we got this raw data processing, we got Orion context broker, so the SAF building blocks and the MIM1 context information management. Stored and real-time data storage on MongoDB, Fireware generic enablers, Cygnus to do some pre-processing, again Fireware. Data processing in Elasticsearch, open source component. Some data analytics in Kibana and some data visualization in Kibana dashboards, all open source. We got one, we got two. That's it, folks. We would like to have data science or modeling or machine learning or AI or whatever you want to call it as a service on top of that. We want to have digital twinning or virtual reality or augmented reality, whatever. Why? We want to provide end users real-time advices or incentives to have a real societal benefits. And we want this only sustainable if there's a justified but economic business model in place. What we're doing within the OWASP for, let's say, an Agile agenda 1, 2, and 3. So context information management, data models, and marketplace, basic data platform, keep it in order. MIM 4, 5, and 6, trust personal data management, fair explainable AI and security. We need it for safeguard public interest. Is a prerequisite. Why the peep are we doing this? Well, for demand, citizens address societal challenges, so have an impact on society. Why the peep are we doing it from business level? To have a justified and good economic business model. Go to maturity. Don't keep reinventing the wheel. Don't create again stuff on tier levels low.
Scale out for sustainability. What do we miss? Insight to decision from raw data with some validated models or simulated outcomes and afterwards real-time live results. There, the data spaces for smart and sustainable cities and communities comes along. I would like to go into what are the MIMs? Well, Michael kindly introduced this in the Living Tech subgroup on the 27th, referring to this document, United for Smart Sustainable Cities, what to do. Entropy, that's minimal yet sufficient. That's stated there. And if you look at that, and that's also the reason why I display this Lego picture, the idea is that you have a minimum interoperability derived from simple dimensions stuff. Lego, this pill always fits in that hole. In our architecture, the idea behind this, if you want to exchange a component for, in your eyes, a better component, you can move the old one, place in a new one, and the total layered approach architecture from IoT sensor up to the end customer services keep on running in the same fashion without any hassle. That's the idea behind it. That's great. Ruggedised, a project also Horizon 2020. They've got a real nice deliverable 6.6, which goes into more or less the same ideas, an organizational view and an architecture view. So the nice thing is on the left, in addition, the possible roles. Interoperability, not also only between the layers as I expect, but also, let's say, federation between different platforms in different cities and communities. Another schematic where urban data platform and 3D visualization with digital twinning on top of it to end user services is given here. Rotterdam has adopted this. The MIMs as derived from the NPR, so the Dutch Practice Guidelines, are given as explain or comply in the tender, and to just finish it. Also part are these business models or roles. So like I said, also Eindhoven is always willing and able to discuss a healthy, just justified business model for all parties involved, from data collection to data use. Some possible business models are given here. So as data tertiary and platform only, you get a business model. You don't, in our eyes, own the data. As a prosumer, the people provide, for instance, data with their mobile phones, but get more or less for free the service derived on it. A data provider, app service, etc. Yep. Data. Reference architectures and minimal operabilities, all nice and good. And data spaces are even better. But there's still a means to go. So another thing which European Union is really talking about are local digital twins. I just show some projects I'm aware of, like DUET, with some pictures, as the presentation from the IMAC is a couple of years in the Council City of Owask. They also got the solution architecture there. and you're already gonna you already know what I'm gonna do next. I'm plotting the MIMs on this DUET reference architecture. So MIM0, MIM1 context information management, MIM2 data models, MIM3 marketplaces, MIM4 privacy, MIM5 fair and transparent AI, MIM6 security, MIM7 something about places, MIM8 and about resources, MIM9 about analytics, MIM10 about KPIs. So I could mix up 8 and 10. So this again is just my interpretation. They also got this T-shaped T-cell architecture where the MIMs, the old MIMs, are again plotted. Same thing here, which of course is a large question mark for me because it's not validated or discussed yet with DUET guys and girls. Microsoft Azure Digital Twin documentation, just a picture I found there. MIM1 is context information, MIM2 is the digital twin data language models, part already of the specification of MIM2. The digital twin graph could be something like analytics, and MIM3 again could be something like a marketplace. Again, not validated with the Microsoft guys and girls. AWS, copy do. AWS again, fire post on LinkedIn, not that long ago, stating the Smart Territory Framework is available on the Fire Marketplace. If you look it up in Git, you can see the connectors, you can see the NGSI, you can see the standard data models. Another thing I came across on the Digital Twin Competence Center in Chalmers, so that's University of Gothenburg. They got some milestone projects over there. They got a real nice movie. Where a snippet I found particularly interesting also for Eindhoven is the movement of a car in a 3D built environment model, giving you the noise level observed, with also where you got this hindrance for the community. Again, an architecture platform with again just my interpretation of it and plotting of the MIMs. Well, my hometown can't stay behind, so this is the urban digital twin of the Urban Development Initiative from City of Eindhoven, Helmond, Fraunhofer, the Technical University, and I'm forgetting one party. Again, we've got a movie there. It's focused on getting an urban digital twin so that you can have evidence-based decision making. So Brainport, Eindhoven, Fraunhofer, Helmond, and Technical University with some commercial parties below it. In Eindhoven, together with this idea of the open data principles, we used the 4-tier model. It's derived from Mol Khan, kindly. It's totally adopted in Eindhoven, and I will try to explain it in this picture. On tier 1, you've got this basic infrastructure, which will keep growing exponentially forever. On tier 2, you've got typically your data locked in dedicated vertical silos. So everybody also in the municipality got his own data, isn't directly willing and able to share it with other departments within the municipality, and certainly not outside the municipality. So what we want to do is get these data outside of the silos, bring it in a horizontal data storage layer, do some analytics on top of it, provide access on a marketplace thing like have trusted, secure, integrated, and federated horizontal
so silo breaching data spaces. Why? We want to provide input for digital twinning decision making. We want to have tooling for area working. We want to have citizen-centric services. So we need holistic, inclusive, evidence-based decision making based on good data, visualized in 3D models, proven simulations or algorithms to translate data into insight, into decision. And of course, include citizens in decision maker and provide transparent reporting afterwards. Again, the MIMS, like I said, we are on 2, got some 3, we talk about 4, we talk about 5, we talk about 6. Our Geo guys and girls are up in MIM 7, so we're working on it. The European data spaces for smart sustainable cities and communities. Again, from Gothenburg. They presented MIM 7, so places in the work group. What I really like about it, they connected to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. They got a real nice ecosystem with some amounts and a lot of parties. They don't only talk about city data, but they also use it in the real-time maintenance of the built environment. I found this nice architecture picture. Again, I plot the MIMS on it with a big question mark. Not validated, not discussed yet. What I really like is the Unreal Engine 4 they use. This is the reality. This is the level of details. And they got the simulation up and running where you can see what happens. Based on this Unreal Engine, any of you use digital humans, you could end up with something like that. Does anyone recognize this? It's a redraw of the Blade Runner 2049 movie. Then to the Metaverse. Why? To provide augmented virtual reality to citizens, to include them in decision-making example for this 3D visualized or simulated or whatever provided decisions, or afterwards in real life. Meta, yeah, what happens in Meta stays at Mark Zuckerberg, question mark. Roland van der Heijden, our deputy council of the city, arranges immersive tech meeting on the 29th of November. He says Metaverse in the city. European Union says Cityverse, so the citizens verse. I talked about these European data spaces for smart sustainable cities. Well, this is the structure of the related Digital Europe projects. So we got this innovation hub, you got the citycom.ai, you got the preparatory action, coordination action of data spaces, you got the Go project, the deployment phase, and some human stuff for a local digital twin toolbox. That's the reason why I talked about digital twins so long before this. I'm gonna dwell upon these projects. The blueprint, CSA action, first year, deployment phase, 3 years. You see the numbers of the calls. There is an expression again to be joined the stakeholder forum. It's already past their due date. You got an expression of interest to participate in the pilot. It's still available on the 2nd until the 2nd of December, so you have to hurry. So you express your interest. The preparatory action is finished. The deployment phase starts in the first months of the deployment phase. There will be an open call for these pilots. This will be 10 to 12 pilots, which each around 3 million euros of which has to be co-founded. If you want to be the coordinator of or part of the consortium coordinating deployment phase, well, you can enter. The deadline is the 24th of January next year. This is the preparatory phase. I'm now discussing the project structure. So we've got work package 1, internal management coordination done by us, OpenAgile Smart Cities, of course, in close coordination with the Tech for Smart Cities department, with the nice people of Eddie Hartog and etc. Work package 2, governance policies led by Eurocities in close coordination with Living in Europe and Golia. Fireware leads technical blueprints, and behind them is GaiaX and the Dataspaces Support Center. The database establishment is managed by the Austrian Institute for Technology, talking with all kinds of other stuff. So the Digital Europe program, the APSSC, the new European Bauhaus, and probably many more. Work package 5, communication, capacity building, knowledge sharing is managed by the European Network of Living Labs. Stakeholder forum, where is the place where everything comes together, and where the Slovenian Chamber of Commerce is more informally in the lead. A lot of cities and communities are already expressed their interest and are participating in the stakeholder forum, like some companies and research and technology organizations. Deployment. Yep, like I said, there's an expression of interest available, just a forum. You can contact us at our cities, 10 to 12 pilots, supply and demand, at least 2 cities, 2 countries, public sector at all levels, industry, SMEs, academia, etc. You have to be cross-sectional, at least 2 areas of these 5 possibilities. 3 million budget, 50% co-finance, and you have to be a signatory or supporter of the Living EU Declaration or member of the networks like ENO, like Eurocities, etc. Other way of putting it all together, the data platforms on local level, national level, European level. This is our stuff based on the MIMs. You can go to Digital Twins, you can go to the Citizens First. Training data back to the testing environment. Final thoughts. MIMs-plus data spaces creates local digital twins in the Citizens First. So we'll create smart, sustainable stuff for society, what will actually work. So join us. Like I said before, the expression of interest can be found below. I really enjoyed the show last week, and I hope to see you again at the City by City Festival 23. And it could be that's again the older name, so the Connected Smart Communities and Cities Festival or something. It's around the 17th of January in Brussels. So these are the participants. We have to check if we can use them, send them out, and have explicit GDPR consent. Don't look back. look to the future, and citizens first, second life, first get alive. Thank you for your attention. This is me.